Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Underground Villains with Blue Diaz and Tiger Style Special TV. Today, we have a very lovely special guest. She goes by the name of Fancy Jessica. I want to welcome her to the show.
Hey Blue, what's up? Happy
What's
to be
up,
here.
Fancy? How are you today?
I'm well. Trying to maintain despite the COVID-19 situation.
Oh, most definitely, definitely. I see, you're looking great, and I see you
trying.
still, you're doing well. You're doing pretty well.
I tried, thank you.
For those that don't know out there, me and Fancy go way back, and we know each other for a while, and Fancy's been working, man. We've done many events together, and, she's still out here doing her thing. So what you been up to otherwise?
Of lately, I just wrote a storyline for a video that we recorded last week, and part of the video went up with an artist that we work with by the name of Shizzo. So that's the latest thing that I'm working on.
Okay.
We also have another artist by the name of Bugsy. So we have Shizzo, we have Bugsy. 2 videos are coming out. Zoe Madness is one, and 2 Times is the next video that should be coming out real soon.
Okay.
So as an event planner, my job was to actually find a location for them, and I also wrote up the storyline for Shizzo's video. So I wrote up the storyline. Very interesting. I love storylines. Okay, yes. I don't want to just see a video with nothing happening. I like a story.
Storyline.
Definitely.
You know what's crazy? We was just talking about. We was talking about that yesterday because my album is about to come out, and we was talking about, shout out to Elo, the franchise kid. He was here yesterday, and he actually brought that to my attention. He told me, Blue, when you put out an album, make sure it's going to be a storyline back of it. That's what's going to gain everybody's interest right there.
And maintain everybody's interest. I think when you have a story to tell, people get interested. They get caught up in your story and want to be part of it. They start to believe the story. Sometimes if you're good enough, they believe in the characters.
Yes.
They forget that these are just made up fictional characters. They start to really associate with the characters. So I had a good time doing that. We recorded a video in Brooklyn. And then I just did 2 events. I know the city just started opening back up. Last week I worked on a 50th birthday party that I basically, the birthday girl came to me and said, do everything. So I found the location, I handled the chef, I handled the decorations, I handled everything, up to the camera person, the videographer. She just showed up, basically. She showed up. She told me what colors she wanted.
She just popped up out of nowhere.
That's it. She told me her color scheme. She said, these are the colors I want. And then she trusted me to do the work for her, and the event was amazing. She had a great time. So some of the pictures have been going up. Oh, I even handled her hair. So I got her hair through Hair So Fancy.
Wow.
Yes. I set up a hair appointment for her. So, period. It was like, I took care of her.
Okay.
Her hair, her party, everything. The food, she just showed up. So that was
basically
great.
You're just like a jack of all trades, right? I should say. Right?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's a little deeper than being a jack of all trades. I think it's great to do what you love. And I love music, so of course I needed to be involved in music. So that's why event planning is connected to music in the sense that you have an event, you're putting together something, whether it's a party, whether it's a graduation, whether it's a birthday party, it's a wedding, there's music involved, it's people getting together, it's socializing. These are all the things that I love. So that's why event planning made so much sense. The idea of starting off with an idea and then creating a whole vision, right? People come to you and say, this is what I want. When they say it, they don't really visualize it. So you as the event planner, you have to be the one to bring it to life. And so that's why event planning is so natural for me. I'm able to use my imagination, be creative on a budget, right? A lot of the people that I work with, they're on a budget. So I'm able to work on a decent budget. Everybody has a different budget. Some people may say $5,000 is their budget. Some people might say $10,000. Some people might say $2,500. So whatever your budget is, I'm able to work within that and make it happen. So that's what's great about that. And event planning, I had to find a way to bring in music. So that's why I do a lot of the showcases. And this is where I met Blue. I put together a showcase for Cal Dawson a few years ago, and that's how I met Blue. And I enjoyed that so much, dealing with the artists, listening to music, interacting with them, giving them feedback, because a lot of it is not just music, you know. A lot of it is branding and helping them build who they are. They don't, you know, they're musicians, so all they want to do is concentrate on the music aspect, not realizing that you have to handle promotions, you have to handle what you look like, you have to handle, you know, the way you want to be perceived as an artist, right? The way you're going to captivate your crowd. So all those things play into it.
Right.
And so this is, you know, why I'm involved in the event planning, why I'm involved in the music.
Exactly. All that falls into one pot.
And guess what? And here I had to get in the business. Guess why? Black women spend over 90% of the money in the hair industry. So when I started out years ago, I used to sell hair for another company. And then I realized, why am I selling hair for another company when I should be selling hair for myself?
For yourself, right.
For myself. So then I created Hair So Fancy.
Okay.
And under Hair So Fancy, I sell hair, I sell products for men, because I can't forget about my men, right? I want you to be able to log on to my website.
Well, I'm going to log on to the website. And, you know, we had a conversation earlier. You know, I asked Fancy, you know, a question. And she just said, you know what? Just go on my website and just purchase something for, you know, for your beard. And that's it. I said, okay, you know what?
That is not how I said it,
I'm going to support this lady. I'm going to support her.
So
I'm going to go purchase, you know, I'm going to take my credit card and swipe. And, you know, I'm going to buy that thing for my beard.
So word for word, he said, Fancy, am I still handsome? And I said, you know what? If you log on to hairsofancy.com, you'll even be even more handsome once you get some of the products that I sell for men, right?
But you see that? Why she just can't give me a straight out answer? Why it has to be, listen, oh no, but listen, I can't tell you you're handsome now. But as soon as I pull out that credit card, hey, you know what? Let me swipe it.
Blue.
Okay, you are absolutely gorgeous, Blue.
Blue, you have to support my vision. Blue Vision, see? He is Blue Vision. He understands the importance of seeing what others do not, right? So I see the handsome man in front of me, but I also see the
Thank you for telling me
the man that can even be more handsome once he gets the
now
beard
I'm going to be more handsome once I swipe that credit card. That's it. Well, I want to get into some things with you. Let's talk about your extravagant. What is it?
Extravagant by Nature is the name of the event planning business. So originally, when I opened up the business a few years ago, I started out the business with a friend of mine, and I'm sad to say that didn't go too well. What do they say? Certain things you're not supposed to mix up. Right. Friendship and business.
Right.
So that didn't go too well. We parted ways, and you know, years later, I'm able to look at that situation and I think to myself, how much egos can get in the way sometimes. Because you might have two people and everybody has something different that they bring to the table. Exactly. So for example, you and Tiger, right? Tiger might bring the aspect of production and recording. Right. So we can't take away from that great thing that he does.
Exactly.
Whereas you may be the one that interacts with the public a lot, right? Because you have the artists and you bring those artists in.
Exactly.
So why can't both of you work together?
So basically as a team, everybody has to play a part.
Everybody plays their own part. And so ego should not get in the way. So when me and my girlfriend opened up the business, the ego got in the way. And it's like, I look at it, and even now, while I'm organizing for the last event that I did, and I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, how far we would have been together, because she handled decorations, and I'm like you in the relationship. I'm the networking, I'm going out, I'm chatting with people, I'm inside of a diner, and I will hustle everybody in the diner to buy tickets. And so she would sit there like, yo, are you all right? I'm like, yo, I'm good. I got 5 tickets in my pocket, I got to go, you know? So I'm that person where she was the decorating person. And so, you know, that didn't go too well, but now it's like, it's provided me with the perspective of sometimes being able to step back and have that conversation with someone and say, you know what, this is what I admire about you. These are all the great things that you bring into this particular relationship. Because there's going to be different relationships, right? Every time you network with somebody, that's a potential relationship. Exactly. So I meet you and you own a venue, for example.
Right.
And I want to have an event at your venue. Okay. So that can be a relationship that's established where, you know what, from now on, everybody I know that's in that area of New York, I'm going to bring them to your location for an event. So that's a relationship right there. So now he would have to be humble, and I would have to be humble enough to know that, you know what, we both can win. It's a win-win mentality.
Of course, definitely.
And so
that's where the support comes into play as well. Because if you have a win-lose mentality, it's not a matchup right there.
Or you just have to win where you're the only one that should win. That's also a problem.
Listen, I look at it like this. If you're not on the same page as me, and I'm in that win mentality, I can't rock with you. I'm sorry. I have to go out on my own. I have to do my own thing, and that's it. That's it. Because I just want to stay on the correct path, and I have to win.
Definitely. So it's about the win-win, and that's really important. And now that we're going through all of this COVID, and we understand the importance of the money of the minority person, how much money we actually invest in America, and how important our money is. This is the time for us to think about win-win. The win-win meaning, how can I help that other business owner? How can I help this person build their brand? How can they help me build my brand?
Exactly.
Definitely, I think that's the direction to go. Okay. Always trying to win-win.
So we got that out the way. You're an event planner. You have extravagant by nature. You also have hair
so fancy.
Okay, anybody needs the hair, well, she's gonna help me out with my beard over here.
So besides selling hair and beard products, I also sell lipstick. Right on my website. I'm wearing some of my lipstick right now. So it's Lips So Fancy, and Lips So Fancy are lips that do not lie. Okay. So that's why when you ask me a question, I always tell the truth.
She always tells
I always tell the truth.
Fancy always comes with the truth. That's one thing I can say. Since day one when I met her, she always came. Listen, she always came with the realness. That's
the real. You gotta keep it real. Because guess what? The real will come out eventually. Exactly. The truth will come out, right? You can't hide for too long.
So I want to get into with more of your event planning. When was actually the first time? What was the first event have you ever done and said, wow, you know what? This is me. This is what I want to do. And this is what I like to do.
I think growing up as a child, I always made an event out of everything. Okay. So the last day of school turned into an event where I had to throw parties at school where the teacher would allow me to put together a party for the whole class. So that was an event at school. At home, my mother understood when we brought home the report cards and we got a certain grade, we would party. It would be an organized party at the house. Food, drinks. So I grew up. My grandmother raised me to always kind of celebrate everything.
Celebrate everything.
She's my godmother.
I mean, which that's a good thing. Not to cut you off, but that's a good thing because you never know, man. Because I always say, every special moment in your life you have to celebrate because you never know when it's gonna be your last day.
I think it's important to celebrate the birthdays. You know what? If you happen to go out to dinner today with somebody, make a big deal of it. Get dressed. Look good. Be excited. Just
ladies, you heard that. Listen, she's passing them because some of you ladies go out with the fellas, man, and sometimes the fellas got to tell you, dress up, look nice. Us fellas, we want a sexy woman to look nice while we're taking them out.
You gotta make a day of it. And you know what? Don't look sexy just for him. Look sexy for yourself. Let me tell you, ain't nothing better than looking sexy for myself. When I look in the mirror and I'll be like, that's right. You working with the flop and you looking hot. That's it.
I don't want to get into that flop thing, but we're going to talk more about that later on, For those who know what that is, I don't know. Fancy claiming that, the flop.
Yeah, that's my term, okay? I created it. So, Cardi B, I done switched up your WAP to the flop.
That's it, to the flop. That's it. And that's only coming from Fancy.
That's it. Exactly. Look, Fancy, here you go. Put the F in it.
Just to let you know, she got the fancy flop. I'm gonna call it the fancy flop. But listen, that's coming from Blue Diaz over here, alright? Straight onto Spectrum TV, okay? Fancy got the fancy flop. That's what she got, the fancy flop. She don't got a regular flop, she got the fancy flop.
He said it. He said it, so you gotta believe him.
Yes. The beautiful fancy flop. So anyway, let's get off the flop situation for a while, and let's get back into
as hard as that is to get off the flop.
To
get out the flop. Yeah.
Fancy
I'm a mess, everybody. Okay?
No, Fancy is a mess. She is a mess. She's worse than me. I thought I had a I thought my mentality was on the flop all the time, but she's over here like
I'm not. Look, I'm just trying to make him feel comfortable. This is his show, okay?
No, I'm very comfortable, and I thank you for coming out, Fancy. It's all love at the end of the day.
Definitely.
I really thank you for coming out, man. And you always been very supportive.
Definitely.
I always had love for you since day one, since I met you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I kind of was like, damn, Fancy's gorgeous, this and that. But she told me her status, but it's all good. I still love her. It's all good.
The power of the flop. The flop is even more powerful if you don't get it. If you don't give it away, that's the power. Hold on to the power.
And let the imagination just flow. So, I want to get up on a personal level with you on your personal status. With where did you grow up at?
Oh, okay. You know what? Remember, you were supposed to guess. Was it you? Everybody that meets me, I tell them to guess where I'm from, and most people get it wrong.
Let me take a wild guess.
Take a guess. He's taking a guess.
Fancy's fancy, right? She's fancy, right? Fancy Flop is fancy, right?
Oh, see, he on the flop too.
Okay, let me stop. Okay, let's get off the flop. Fancy, I would say Long Island.
No. You know what?
Long Island, right?
I am from the island of Haiti originally.
Oh,
the island
okay.
of Haiti.
Big up to Haiti.
Port-au-Prince, sac passé, tout le monde, escala. Napoli, that's all you know?
No, I know other words.
What else you know?
Get my mom.
Oh my God, you don't even want to know what that means, people.
Masisi.
That's a bad one too.
Okay.
Maricon. Masisi is equivalent to maricon.
Yeah. Maricon. Yeah.
All right. So I'm from Haiti originally, and when I came into the country, I lived in Brooklyn. So I'm from East Flatbush, Brooklyn.
Big up to Flatbush.
Raised in Brooklyn. I remember I had to beat up many people when I first came to this country.
Wow.
You know why, right?
I have no idea. Let's get into that.
I came to America in the 80s when it wasn't so cool to be
But you don't look like the type to fight anyway. You look like,
I'm fancy now.
No,
you gotta go through some things.
Oh man. So let's get into your past. Listen, who was
so in the beginning, I'm just saying, in the 80s, it wasn't so cool to be a Zoe.
No, it was wild.
It was hard to be a Zoe. I mean, people would say HBO. Remember what that was?
Mm-hmm. Haitian body odor.
Haitian body odor.
Okay.
They would say Haitian booty scratcher.
Yeah.
They would say you got here on a boat, banana boat.
But you know something?
I remember running home one day.
Okay.
Yeah, I ran home one day.
Okay.
A group of girls, they said she's cute. We gotta beat her behind. I don't know what it was. I was Haitian and they wasn't trying to have it. She thinks she's too cute. They were hating.
They were just hating on you.
Hating on me, even though I had them 4 dookie braids. All my Haitian sisters know. We had those 4 dookie braids with the ribbons. Oh, Lord have mercy.
I remember that. I've grown up in Flatbush, Brooklyn. I have a lot of Haitian friends, right?
Those ribbons.
And let me see, those ribbons, man, them Haitian girls. But
they
I remember
infamous.
Haitian people used to get it bad back in the 80s,
we
man.
used to get it bad.
I've always had love for the Haitian people, man, because a lot of my friends, rest in peace, one of my good friends, he passed away back in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And I've grown up with him. He was like a brother to me. Mm-hmm. And, his family treated me well. And we at the end of the day we're all human beings. And
we're like neighbors anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Where are you from again?
I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, but my family's from Puerto Rico.
His family's from Puerto Rico. We eat a lot of the same foods.
A lot of rice and beans. You already know.
A lot of rice and beans.
As you can see, our women. That's why black women and Latina women is always thick, because the rice and beans, that starch goes straight to the platanos go straight to them thighs, man.
Platanos.
They don't play around.
Crazy. So anyway, I remember one day running home. This was very early on when I came into the country. Running home, I had like 6 girls running after me.
Okay.
So I made it home, and I got home. I lived with my cousins when I first came here. Okay. So I got in East Flatbush, Brooklyn. So I got home, and I'm telling my cousin, he hardly spoke Creole, by the way. This is a cousin that was born in America. So here I am with my broken English.
Okay.
That I just learned, trying to explain to him that these girls are running after me. Anyway, he got the gist of it, right? So I had to act it out a little bit for him. And he realized, he was like, oh no, what do you need me to do? Go to the school? So then my mom sat me down, and she broke it down. She said, okay, you can't beat up the masses, right? If you have 10 running after you, you cannot fight all 10. I said, you're right, Mom. There's no way it can happen. She goes, grab one and teach her everything you know. So, you know what? The next day now, I was kind of ready.
And was that the leader that you beat up?
Yeah, the scariest one. You gotta get the scariest one. That's right.
So once you beat up the leader, there's no game no more.
Let me tell you,
they're gonna turn on her, going your side.
That's what happens. We gotta support each other, right? Always win-win. Always. So he came out and he recorded. He did his thing. He loved the crowd. The crowd loved him. I made her feel like the queen that she is, to turn 50. That's an amazing accomplishment.
That's a blessing right there.
Definitely.
They had you on their side and you did it. You made it happen. How did that make you feel, as when you do events and it turns out to be a very success?
I think it's a high. It's definitely a high to start from scratch. You build. You have a concept. The person tells you what they want. You work off of that idea, and then you create something. So it's kind of like, being pregnant. and then watching this child grow into an adult. And it happens in the span of 4 months or 3 months or 2 months, right? I start off with nothing, and then the day comes after putting in my work, because planning is important, right? You got to plan, you need to be organized, you need to be dedicated, and you got to really build a connection with the person you're working with so that you can make sure to have an event for them and not for yourself. Because that is the issue sometimes. You get caught up in the self, in the I, and you forget that I got to give this person what they want. And that's always important. You know, it's about that client, what they want. So sometimes it involves talking to them 20 times a day. You know?
Sometimes you ever feel like walking away from this and saying, wow, you know what, maybe this is too overwhelming for me. And, you know, did it ever come down to a point where you did a show and just like, you know what, I got to fall back and I just got to move on and just try something else?
I did have one event that I worked on one time, and I started off working with the person. They wanted me to have the event. They gave me the concept, and I didn't get enough support from them. And when I say support, financial support. But my name was already connected to the event. I was also promoting for the event, so I couldn't back down. Okay. And so, although I wanted to, I had to stay committed to the vision because my name was connected to it. You know, so that I remember, that was a tough lesson to learn, but I'm happy for the lesson. Okay. You know, I'm much better for that lesson that I learned.
Right. And when did you come up with the name Fancy Cheska? Because I've always wanted to ask you that. It's different, it stands out, and it's you. But when did you come up with that name, Fancy Cheska?
So my government name is Francesca.
Oh, Francesca.
Francesca. And because I am also a school teacher, I have to make sure that my students cannot easily find me. Okay. So I am Haitian, and a coworker of mine started calling me Fancy. You know, Steve Harvey, is it the what's her name? The one from the Steve Harvey show. Her name was Fancy. Her name was Francesca, and everybody calls her Francesca.
Okay. Yeah.
Francesca. Okay.
And so he started calling me Fancy. So no matter where I went in the building, it was Fancy. Fancy. I was like, oh boy. So I'm gonna take the name Fancy.
So you combined that together.
So I combined Fancy and Cheska. Cheska's part of my real name.
It's part of your real name.
Yeah,
so
my real name, Francesca.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
That way, it's still branding where I'm holding on to who I am and connecting it. And I think a lot of people that hear the name, it says a lot because you kind of know where I'm from. Okay. If they sit and they think about it long enough, they realize, oh, Francesca. Because some people say it. I'm like, no, it's Fancy Cheska. Okay. But then they make the connection that my real name is Francesca. Okay. So that's great.
And I want to give a shout out to DJ Scripps, your other partner. Let's get into Delicious Vibes. Tell me what that show was about. When did you guys start it? And tell me, like, what is it about? Is it about, like, with food and just, like, conversations as well?
So, Scripps is my co-host on a show that we have together called Delicious Vibes. And him and I met, I want to say, like, over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, going on 2 years. Okay. He was working on a documentary. Actually, he's still working on that documentary. And when I met him, I was so intrigued by the whole concept of this documentary. And so we kept on the connection. And then somehow or the other, we were brainstorming one day. We said we should have a show. And I came up with the idea of Vibes. And then he threw in Delicious. And so we're like, oh, Delicious Vibes.
That's how it came about.
That's how it came about. Yeah. Just like that, Delicious Vibes. Because guess what? I love to talk. And I love to eat. And there it went. You know, when we're together, there's a vibe. There's a certain relationship where there's no trying. There's no lying in between it. And that's what the vibe is really about. Like, him and I relate on that level where I see him and appreciate him for what he does. You know, the professional that he is, the professional person that hustles all the time. He's always moving and moving around, and I'm the same. Okay. I'm a teacher during the day, but I'm an event planner. I'm a host. I'm a radio host. So I'm always kind of juggling and moving things around. So we had that in common. So I think doing the show together just made perfect sense. So we have a lot of different influential people that we invite out to the show that have accomplished a lot and are doing a lot of great things, but they are not at the forefront of the media, but we know that they should be. Right. So we've interviewed, for example, Wyclef's sister. She's a chef.
Okay. Wow.
That was one of the first people who actually, she invited us out to her house in Jersey, her family home.
How did that go?
It was great.
Okay.
We had the interview at her home in Jersey.
Okay.
Wonderful, wonderful Chef Rose. Rose the chef. She's amazing. Her food is great. Her personality is just to die for. It's so natural, and the fact that she invited us out to her home and she cooked for us. So she cooked for us, we sat, we ate, we chatted, we got to know each other. And then we've also gotten a chance to sit with Evil D, DJ Evil D.
DJ Evil D, right?
And from Black Moon. And we all know that he's like the foundation of hip hop, right?
Okay.
Foundation, and great guy. We went and we sat together at a restaurant. So we do go out to different restaurants when we're asked to come out, and we hold the interviews there. So we did that with Evil D.
Okay.
We've also had Tech from Black
From, I believe it's Smith and Wesson.
Smith and Wesson. He was a great guy, very down to earth. That was a great interview, and we interviewed him at the studio. Actually, we were doing, we were working on a track together that Scripps produced. Scripps put together a track, so that should be coming out shortly. Zo Madness. Okay. That's gonna be an amazing. I mean, I love that song. I was ready to rap, y'all. Okay, that was gonna be something else. I added to.
Can you imagine? Where are you gonna go? If you had a rap name, what would you go?
Back in the days, I did rap. Back in the days, and my name was Russian Roulette.
Russian Roulette.
Russian Roulette. That was my rap name.
Wow.
And guess why?
Why?
Because you never know what you're gonna get. You're taking a gamble when you messing with Russian Roulette. That game, because that gun might be one bullet that shoots you. You don't know. It's a gamble.
Right, that's right. So you got some bars?
Better ask somebody.
Fancy, you got bars.
I got bars.
I'm about to throw on one of my beats and let Fancy spit over.
So let me tell you, you never know. I might end up on a remix of the Zo Madness. That's how much I love that track. I love that track. Honestly speaking.
Well, I can picture that, Fancy rapping. So as far as that goes, you know, everything's going well with that. You're also a school teacher.
I'm a school teacher. I'm an ESL teacher. English as a second language.
Okay. How's that coming along? That's with you being a school teacher. What's your trials and tribulations
as a teacher?
With that as a teacher? What you go through on a daily basis? With
I actually love teaching, and I love working with that population. So ESL is English as a second language. They've recently changed the name to ENL, English as a new language, so that it kind of sets it up where one language is not better than the other. So that's why they say English is a new language. Working with that population is great. The kids are humble, they're polite, they're so sweet, and I myself can relate because I am a former English language learner, and sometimes I say I'm still an L for life, you know? Once you're L for life, right? Once you're an L, you're always an L, you know?
That's
sometimes I have to, I don't know if this still happens to you, but when I'm talking sometimes or someone says something to me, I hear it in my language and then I translate it.
Yeah, sometimes that
So
happens.
I don't hear in English. So if you're talking to me, my brain is in Creole first. So sometimes I may answer you with some Creole. Is that your first
language? Was that when you first came to the country? That was your first language?
Yeah,
right?
Creole is actually my native language, right? Haitian Creole. That's actually what I speak at home. That's what I was raised on. So English is the second language.
Okay. That's like with myself, with as far as when it comes to Spanish. When I was a child growing up, I only knew English. I didn't know not a word of Spanish until I lived with my grandma. Because my grandmother,
your abuela?
My abuela and my abuela. So she knows the Latin lingo, you know? So
I have to speak a few languages.
I can never say nothing bad about Fancy in Spanish because she'll be like, listen, I know what you're saying, so you better cut the crap. You know?
Definitely.
Yeah, I learned all my Spanish to my grandparents because they don't know English.
Wow.
So they're from the
islands.
They're from Puerto Rico, so they're very old-fashioned.
That happens.
Me living with them, I lived with them for like a good 4 years.
Wow.
So I picked that up. I'm like, wow, this is how. Shout out to my grandparents, man. They taught me Spanish. You know?
So that happens a lot, especially with the Hispanic students, where even though with some of the students I've had, some of them are born here in the United States, and their parents only allow them to speak Spanish at home. So when they register in the school system, they are registered as English language learners.
That's right.
And so it's so tough to try. Some of them get so upset. Oh, you know, I'm not from Puerto Rico. I'm not from DR or El Salvador. I'm American. But because they've been exposed to the second language, which has become their primary language, right? Because they don't get a chance to really speak English until they get into the school system.
Right.
So, I mean, that's one challenge that they have. I think this COVID situation has really affected foreign students.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
working.
I meant to ask you, not to cut you off, but I meant to ask you, how do you feel about this whole COVID situation with, as far as the children remaining at home with this remote learning thing?
I mean, I'm kind of like torn a little bit in the sense that, for me, I don't really care for virtual teaching. I don't really like it. I feel like as an educator, you need to be with your students. You need to watch them. You need to interact with them. A lot of children that come to school, they don't only come because of the academic aspect. They come for the social aspect.
The social aspect.
You know,
right.
They need to interact with their peers. They need to talk to another adult. Socializing is important, especially with cell phones now. Exactly. You'll find that a lot of them, they don't really know how to communicate with another human being. They spend so much time on that cell phone.
I don't consider that actually really communicating. You know, it's nothing like, you know, being out there with the person and being with a crowd and with a mixed crowd and just actually, you know, mingling with the crowd.
They need it, and I think because, remember, my students, a lot of them, they do not speak English. So imagine being online trying to teach someone that doesn't speak any English.
Oh, man, that's pretty rough.
It's been rough. I mean, it's been... there's been times where I work usually with one student at a time. That's how overwhelming it is. So I would spend 3 to 4 hours with one student. One student, one class assignment. Because you have to read to them, you have to go through different sounds, you have to go through phonics, sentence structures with them. So it was time consuming, and I actually miss my kids. I miss interacting with them because they all bring like something to the table, to the classroom. All of them have their own little individual personalities, you know. Right before this COVID thing happened, we were working on a women's history show, so we actually got a chance to complete the show. We recorded it, and then we put the show for the rest of the school on Google Classroom and on YouTube. So they were able to watch the show, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm so happy that I got that opportunity to put together that show, because that was the last day, and they remember that, having fun, laughing, and jumping around, and just, so that was amazing. I miss them. I miss them. But it's scary at the same time, because I realize that the government is not completely ready,
right,
and they're not prepared for what school is going to look like with a mask on all day. We're limited to only 10 people in a classroom. Yeah. Not 10 students. 10 people.
10 people. You hear that? 10 people.
So you consider,
and that's something you can't get used to, really, because we're so used to being the other way.
Well, it's almost impossible.
It's impossible. Yeah, it's very
most classrooms have over 28 students.
Exactly.
So now imagine
the average classroom has 28 students.
The average in New York City.
In New York City.
Yeah, it has 28. Special ed, like the small special ed class shouldn't have more than 13, some classes.
Right.
But most classrooms in the United States or in New York have over 28 students. So now you're telling them they need to have only 10 adults or 10 human beings in a room, no more than 10, in order to be able to comply with the social distancing. So it's tough. And then you have to keep a mask on all day. So as a teacher, I'm not even sure how I would be able to keep a mask on for 6 hours and teach.
Listen, I go outside for a half hour and I'm already suffocated with this mask. I can't deal with it. I really can't. It's pretty tough out there. You know, this pandemic hit us hard. You know, people losing their jobs out there. Business has been affected. You know, school teachers is not the same no more. These students is not the same. Nothing is the same no more.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have suffered through depression, you know, due to this COVID.
It actually broke a lot of people's spirits. It broke a lot of people's spirits out there, you know. Well, let the people know where they can find you.
So, of course, Fancy Cheska, Instagram. So it's Fancy Cheska 1, because somebody tried to plagiarize. Somebody tried to take my name.
Look at that.
There's
only one fancy. There's only one fancy out there, and that's the woman right here.
So I had to add a 1 to it. You know, I had to add a 1 because I'm the #1 Fancy Cheska, right? So Fancy, FANCYCHESKA, and it's 1, the #1, Fancy Cheska 1. That's on Instagram. In Facebook, it's Fancy Cheska with no 1, right? And of course, if you're looking for hair, we got to keep up the whole motif with fancy, right? So the name of my hair company is Hair So Fancy.
Hair So Fancy.
Hair So Fancy is the name of my company, and through there you're able to find me. I'm also on the website as Extravagant by Nature, so you could find me if you need an event, me to organize an event. If you need me to set up anything in terms of maybe airtime at a studio, I'll also do that. I'm helping with branding also in terms of artists. I work with artists that may need some assistance, some structure with promoting and things of that nature, because all of that is planning. As an artist, you're planning for that big major event.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
As an artist.
That's right.
So it's all along the same line. I do have some great news, and I don't want to forget the great news that I have. So my show, Delicious Vibes, has been picked up. It's been picked up by Doe Network TV.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
And it's going to air on Pluto Network.
That's right.
So I'm really excited about that. We're working on it. They're actually cleaning up the studios right now because they're trying to make sure that it's COVID ready, right? That it's as clean as possible. Again, it's Doe Network TV, and it will be airing on Pluto Network, right? You put in the time, and you want to get some money, right? So some money hopefully will be coming in the way. And what's great about that now, we could look for more endorsement. A lot of people have been reaching out to endorse and to support the show. So we're open for it. We're working with a lot of local businesses right now that help, that sponsor, that support. And so we're always looking for it. Delicious Vibes with Fancy and Scripts. You can log on. Thank you.
Yes.
Doe Network again. And it's going to be airing on Pluto TV, and I'm excited about that. We're very excited, Scripps and I. We have a lot of great things coming up, and that is one of the greatest pieces of information or news that I have, that they reached out and they want us to actually take this to a bigger platform, you know, bigger. The only bad thing about it is soon we will no longer be able to air anything on Instagram. We will not be able to air anything on YouTube. We will not be able to air anything on Facebook. That's
Strictly
done.
on Pluto TV.
It's
Right,
going to
right.
be strictly on Pluto TV
There you go.
through Doe Network TV. So again, it's going to air on Pluto TV, and the name of the company again is Doe Network TV. So for now, you can enjoy a little bit of the episodes that we have there. Soon we either will have to take it down, but we definitely cannot post anything new once we sign up on those contracts. So that's what they've told us. We will be able to promote a little bit the show, but we cannot air any more episodes. So it's important that you log on to YouTube right now. You can play catch up a little bit. COVID-19, we know that there's no new shows out right now, so log on, check out our old shows, Delicious Vibes with Fancy and Scripts. All the old episodes are still up there, but they're going to be coming down soon. So, you know, please do that, and thank you for having me out.
Anytime, Fancy. It's always a pleasure. You know, like I said, we go way back, and I really want to thank you for coming out for Undergroundvillenz television show with Tiger and myself.
So what do you guys have next?
Oh, we got DTF Radio. We got other things that's coming up as well. You know, we got a couple of more showcases coming up. You know, things are limited right now due to COVID, but once all this is over with, you know already, we're ready to take off like
You gotta
a rocket.
venture out to Long Island.
Yeah, we're venturing out to Long Island. We're doing other things as well. We're talking to other people as well. We're networking with lots of people, trust me. You know, but you know, I would love to work with you as well. Looking forward to work with you and everybody else. We can all, you know, network together as a team. You know, it's all love at the end of the day, and we just in this game to win. That's it.
It's all about the win-win. Hey fam, this is your girl Fancy Cheska, and you are watching Undergroundvillenz TV. That's what's up.